other business news, you have Amazon and Disney looking to discuss a ESPN streaming solution. Now, it looks like both Amazon and Disney are in the early talks for a partnership with ESPN streaming service. This is according to anonymous sources. Amazon could take a minority stake in the sports network as part of the potential deal. ESPN is reportedly blowing a monthly charge between $20 and $35 a month, which would make it one of the most expensive streaming services in the company. Now, granted, ESPN is still a revenue generator for Disney, which is actually saying something as Disney usually loses money these days. They've lost around $2 billion on the past 10 movies, which I attribute mainly to them injecting politics into it, as well as having an over-market saturation of just pumping out Marvel movies like it's on a conveyor belt. And same with Star Wars. You're just, in my opinion, diluting it because a lot of it is just a copy of a copy of a copy. Perhaps a very apt metaphor for Disney. Fun little home experiment. If you actually go to a photocopier, every time you make a copy of a copy, the image just degrades more and more until eventually you can barely recognize what the original image was. Perhaps the most accurate metaphor, again, for Disney now is they remake all their movies, and they seemingly, the only thing they have in common with the original properties is the name, where they change the story, they change the characters. They're really just making what little money they're making off of the memory of what they used to be. Now, having the most expensive, I know Americans love sports balls, so they might well pay $20 to $35 per month to watch people throw around the pigskins. Well, I guess nowadays it's synthetic materials, but I don't know how, with all these companies like ESPN, I can't help but think their time is running out. Because most companies, if you look at the trends of streaming, most of the production houses are making their own. So you have individual, what used to be news networks like NBC, they have their own streaming service called Peacock, which is really only known for The Office in terms of their successful intellectual properties. But it's one of those issues where individual sporting teams, I don't know why the NFL doesn't have their own streaming service. They're a multi-billion-dollar entity. Why not just build it out yourself and you can keep more of the profits? Right? The traditional thing with those organizations where they would sell those streaming rights. That's where they make a lot of their money. And they would sell it to ABC or what have you, traditional news network, and they would make money, and those new networks would in turn sell advertising slots. So if you want to show a can of PepsiCo at this commercial, pay us X amount of money while you watch the Bears lose yet another football game because it's the Bears. So it'd be interesting to see, why don't they just build it out themselves? They're big enough where they could. I guess the only logistical issue would be, would they want to handle that in-house and gain the additional profit, or just continue to sell it to the traditional methodologies where you're selling it to traditional TV stations and some other streaming services. But ESPN apparently have been courting a couple of the MLB, the clubs like the MLB, I believe the NFL, as well as the NHL. So they've had conversations. They actually wanted those companies to invest in ESPN. At which point, why wouldn't those companies just go, well, I could invest in you, which ESPN is not as popular as it used to be ever since they injected politics into it decades ago. Again, people want to tune in to watch sports balls. They want to hear the sports commentator talk about how they don't like guns or something, which they've done. And by doing so, you alienate all the people who want to watch sports balls, who are probably tuning in because they want to tune out of politics. They just want to watch all the players do what they do. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. But in terms of Disney, Disney does need a win. Maybe this will be it. But again, Amazon is one of those things where they're your friend today, but enemy or competitor tomorrow. We'll see how that relationship goes long term, and if this deal actually hammers out. We shall see. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of August. Greatly appreciate your assistance. Also, your comments help the channel grow and develop, as well as it helps me slow down my speech and make the show better and better, as that was a previous critique, which I've taken to heart and something I've worked on more and more. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.